top fighters, you know, with heart and guts and glory, like, you know, Joshua shouldn't go into the rematch. I'm like, what type of advice is that? You tell a fucker that's at war, you better go out there, dust yourself off and go back to war. Do you know what I'm trying to say? There's a man telling me, don't go out to war again, champ, go back to the training. I'm like, what? Is this the type of people that I used to idolize, trying to tell me not to go into a fight? What type of hearts have they got?
Those are the words of Anthony Joshua once again. And as you heard him say that there was people after he took his first loss against Andy Ruiz, hey, don't go back in there, you know, and he said people I used to idolize. And without words, I can read through anything, people. He was, of course, talking about Lennox Lewis, okay, because Lennox Lewis was the first person that said, hey, he should not go back in there. He should not fight Andy Ruiz right away. Other people said that, but it was Lennox that said it first. And most importantly, the people he used to idolize. There was that wasn't Timothy Bradley. That wasn't Andre Ward. That was Lennox Lewis, because he did idolize Lennox Lewis at one point. You know, I think the first blow was with the negotiations with Wilder. That was the first one. And I think that the first and second, and I think the third one was the loss and what he said about AJ, you know, and he started talking about the trainer and Rob McCracken. So Rob McCracken is, you know, a third grade teacher in comparison to other trainers he needs a professor, right? So, you know, and that's when we heard hey, Lennox Lewis is a clown bid, okay? It was Lennox Lewis. So he was referring to Lennox Lewis like, hey, what kind of hearts do you guys have if you think that I can't dust myself off and get back in there and crack on, right? So a lot of things that built up to him calling Lennox Lewis was a clown. This is kind of explaining some of the things that was going through his mind that he's getting off his chest in this long, heartfelt interview that showed a lot of informative things. And it was Lennox Lewis that said that. The guy that he looked up to, a guy that said he didn't really believe him, like, hey, you can't do this based on how you got your ass whooped. Don't go back out there, kid. Don't do it. No. Don't do that. And then, you know, and that offended Anthony Joshua. And Joshua was responding like, well, what kind of heart you got if you think that I can't do that, or you would advise me to go run off and fight somebody else, okay? And then for the record, what happened at that? There was a lot of doubters. There was a lot of people that doubted AJ. There was a lot of people that didn't think he had it anymore. A lot of people that got their ass whooped after. A lot of fighters like Wilder and like Fury and like a lot of people that thought that he didn't have it no more. You know, he got beat by a short, chubby, fat Mexican kid from California, South California, right? So they were thinking, nah, that couldn't happen. He couldn't do nothing. You know, he was exposed. He was a hype job. He was this, he was that. He was a lot of things, right? And then he goes in there when the rematch was, which even I will go as far as saying even Sky Sports didn't even really know that he was going to beat him. Why? Because they jacked their prices up. All you guys in the UK remember that, guys and gals. You guys remember that the 19.95 pounds turned to 24.95, which is about $32 here, and people lost their mind. Remember all you Brits? What the fuck? You know, bloody hell. But then, you know, that is the amount they put on that fight, so they know they would make that extra revenue if AJ took another loss. And if he would have lost to Andy Ruiz, everything would have failed. You know, so Sky Sports, I think, doubted him. But he was referring to Lennox Lewis because Lennox Lewis was very vocal about what he felt about AJ and what AJ should do. And it was not to get back in there. It was not to take that rematch right away. It was to rebuild. It was to get another trainer. It was to do this. It was to do that. It was a lot of things that he could have done, or they wanted him to do, that he was like, you know what? You know what I mean? And that's when, you know, him starting to show the dark side of Anthony Joshua. And I'm going to go live here in probably about 30 minutes or so. I do want to get a good adequate workout, so I might do it both at the same times. I know a lot of people don't like that, but back to the video. You know, it's good to know what a person's thinking. You know, what a person thought when someone else said certain things, because Joshua was quiet. When Joshua got beat the first time, he hung around New York, he rode bicycles, he shot basketball, but then he got right back to work when he went home. He went right back to work. You seen him working, staying off that center, boxing, using that footwork, and gradually slimming down. If you notice, it's like, damn, did you drop 5 pounds in the last 5 days? Because it looked like he was already slimming down once he went back over the pond. So, so I'm glad to know what his feelings were about that, how he thought, and you know what I mean? And it was good, like, hey, what kind of heart does these guys have? Obviously, you don't have that's something you would do. So Joshua was looking at it like, if you're telling me to do that, that's something you would do, or that's something you feel I should do based on what you saw, and you don't think that I can win. So either one is bad. All the way around. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think about Joshua subliminally calling out Lennox Lewis. Brittany Devine, thank you, baby. I hope you get well soon. Keep watching, and I will keep on making these videos just for you and everybody else that watches. God bless you. We will see you soon. You guys tell me what you think about AJ calling out Lennox Lewis on the cool. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunching. Peace.